Hey, what's up guys? UrAvgWarGamer is back with another video of World of Warships. And today I'm going to be featuring Tier 11, finally, and that is Maine, a super battleship that is now available to all the public players and it's out of early access, and as you can see that I'm playing right now. So, is it really good? Well, as you can see here, on an angled Annapolis, 16 of the 406mm guns still able to do pretty decent damage, considering, you do have a lot of shell volume, which still basically means that you can actually smash these cruisers regardless of their 30mm armor. You do have to hit on their superstructure because otherwise they will able to bounce, and in this case I did basically pretty okay damage to this Annapolis, and as you can see that the dispersion of the Maine is also very nice. So, well, someone able to kill this poor Annapolis, otherwise my salvo looks pretty good. And I will show you a couple of more clips in which you can actually able to see that the Maine does have really insane 16 guns firepower. Well, in my personal opinion, Maine does have 16 guns, as you can see, and I felt it to be pretty relatively consistent, even though it does have 1.7 sigma, which is less than its predecessor Montana, which is obviously a tier 10 tech 3 battleship. And Maine, even though it does again have that sigma, I felt the dispersion is still pretty good, because considering it does have 16 of the shells. And right now I will try to showcase you that even the front guns are actually enough for me in this case, that I actually able to manage a kill on the Satsuma, which actually going to broadside here. And well, these guns actually also have really good firing angles. And as you can see, the Satsuma popped up in the middle of nowhere in this 8km cyclone range. And well, Satsuma was pretty much surprised by this salvo that basically killed him, dealing 46,000 damage. And that is the thing about the Maine. Your guns are pretty good and relatively consistent, even though their dispersion, it can be sometimes wonkier, since it's still a battleship and 1.7 sigma is still not gonna be enough, but I felt it to be still pretty good. Well, honestly, I find the Maine firing angles to be pretty good as well, and you can have this insane broadside salvo, and it can literally depth strike any ship at close ranges. And in this case, well, this Conde, I think decided to really rush this Igir that is closer to me, and well, he was not expecting that at all, and getting almost depth struck by these guns. And that's pretty much the really versatility and the strength of the Maines. You can have pretty much angled profile while still able to land a lot of shells, or at least shoot all the barrels without any issues whatsoever. And well, there's also certainly something which I really like, is that, well, you can hit on the superstructure of the battleships with the front guns, 8 of them, which almost did like 16,000 damage if I'm not wrong to this Ohio, and in return he does like maybe 9k damage, which I'm pretty okay, since the survivability of Maine is definitely better than Ohio. And Ohio have what, quite similar levels of HP than Montana, but Maine does have like 115,000, which is absolutely insane. And that's the power of super battleships, that you have this pretty high HP pool while having this insane survivability. But on top of that, what Wargaming decided to basically give Maine is this even absurdity of this F button. Now this is the F button of the Maine, which is unlike anything that we have yet we can actually able to find in any other super ship. And because, well, you can actually have not only increase in 25% AA continuous damage, which basically makes already very strong AA makes even more stronger. And I'm telling you, you are pretty good against aircraft carriers. Also, you do have 65% reduction in the the fire damage as well as flood damage, which does help a lot. Killing the Ohio at the end and getting the Kraken also feels pretty nice, even though the damage is only 176k. I was pretty happy with the results. And in the team score, I was second in the team. My Annapolis played really well, and I really felt that the Maine is definitely a lot much fun to play. Well, in this clip, I want to showcase you that you can be pretty devastating even at long ranges. I show you the basically close, range or close quarters sort of, brawl or something like that in the main, but it is also really strong with the long range, and the dispersion is also pretty nice. And as you can see here, I shot the guns on the Kurfürst, which I will show you here, and look at the dispersion. Dispersion is pretty consistent and pretty good, even for that slightly bit of a nerf of Sigma compared to Montana. I did like 28,000 damage, which definitely feels good. And well, I will try to showcase you more of the clips, and this Kurfürst is gonna try to showcase a lot of broadside again and again, and even on angled targets I find Maine to be a lot much good. Like I saw that, or at least I show you that in the case of that Ohio in the last game, it is pretty good. It also is pretty good in tanking damage, and as you can see, it does heal a lot of its HP. I can actually be able to heal quite a lot of HP in this case, and you can tank a lot of fires as well as take less damage. As you can see here, I was angled against Pommern and I didn't take a whole lot of damage. Obviously, just like I said, German battleships particularly are going to be pretty vulnerable against Maine, and you can see here again that the dispersion of the Maine is pretty okay. I mean, once a German battleship, like in this case the Kurfürst, showing the broadside, and even though some of the shells, it hit onto the superstructure, I still get 6 penetration, and the volume of shell does really good things, and I got 23,000 damage again. And that's something that I really like about Maine. You do have a lot of shells, 16 of them obviously, that you still able to manage to get pretty decent damage on these broadside targets. And the only thing that I kind of don't like of the Maine, as with all super battleships, that it is really not that maneuverable. It has gigantic turning circle, and well, it's kinda gets a bit bad once you miss the salvo and you have to wait quite a long actually. Like in this case, you have to wait at least 35 seconds because that's the reload time of Maine. So this is something that you should keep in mind. Again, the Kurfürst still decided to show broadside, and the Maine will still keep smashing this guy up. Even the superstructure of Kurfürst is gonna be pretty vulnerable since you have so many shells, and 406mm guns with my build does 14,500 damage. So I do have that AP alpha damage increase captain skill, and I will showcase you that captain skill later in the game, but you can clearly see that I'm doing pretty good damage against Kurfürst. The only issue that I get whenever I basically missing the target, like when I miss the target, then you have to wait quite a long time. And this is something that you should keep in mind. By the way, here the Edgar is showing broadside. This is something that is definitely not recommended. And finally, at least there's not that sort of aim bung like that usually gets with these angle targets. In this case, I pretty much pinpoint shot the Edgar, and I actually get 2 citadels dealing 35,000 damage, which feels pretty good. And even though the game is pretty much over because our team decided to completely suicide rushing here and there, I will showcase you the survivability with the F button that it gets in the later part of the game. Well, the Cyclone again kicks in this game as well, and Kurfürst decided to push in. So I will show you a bit of a clips against the Devastation, which is actually pushing around B, and there's also a Kurfürst that is pushing. So well, how will Maine perform against this angled Kurfürst? Well, just like I said, even if the Kurfürst is angled, you have so many shells, and at this range you're gonna be pretty good. Now, well, I was kind of surprised by this Devastation, and he did some good damage, 27,000, but I just literally killed Kurfürst while he is angled. So you can see the power of Maine even on angled targets. It is definitely pretty powerful. Now in this case, obviously the Cyclone kicks in, and there's actually a destroyer which is in testing phase, the French destroyer, which will actually going to pop up left on my side. And as you can see here, you do have this insane salvo coming for this Devastation, and I'm gonna do pretty good 25,000 damage to him while I am keeping angled and only taken 9,400 damage. But unfortunately in this case, the destroyer actually sent quite a bit of torpedoes, and since I want to basically push in there, but I fear that these torpedoes will definitely going to hurt me because, well, these are torpedoes regardless, even though Maine actually have 51% torpedo wealth. which is definitely probably the second highest, tanky belt for a battleship, if I'm not wrong, after Satsuma. I mean, I have to check this out, but 51% torpedo belt is pretty good enough. I mean, devastation actually pops up right in front of me, and the game seems to be pretty much over, even though I was trying to basically get to the citadel of the devastation, but I didn't manage to do it in the end. And obviously the salvo of basically the Castilla secondaries of the Castilla actually manages to basically kill me at the end. Unfortunate defeat, but well, our team threw it away. Well, the only issue that I have with the Maine is that, well, since these are 16 406mm guns, I cannot really able to overmatch a lot of those cruisers that have 30mm of armor extremities. I mean, there is Yoshino, there are a lot of other cruisers that have this, tanky thing against these 406mm guns. Well, I shot the Hanover here, and even though he was kiting away and I got some non-pens, well, you can also see another weakness of the Maine. That, well, the shells does not have that much really insanely good penetration. I mean, these are Montana guns, so you can expect the similar levels of penetration. So in that regard, I think the Maine's kinda, suffers a bit. But I will showcase you this very interesting thing that Maine actually gets. And I haven't featured the F button really, and didn't show you how strong really is. But in this case, you will actually able to find out. Now here, I pushed in around the islands. I mean, I'm very close to the islands, and I'm permanently spotted. And there's a Smolensk, well, a notoriously broken cruiser with its HE spam, trying to basically do some good damage. Well, in this case, I also got a broadside Yoshino here, which seems to be almost getting depth struck, but oh my goodness, man, I was absolutely shocked to see that I get 11 over penetration. That is mind-boggling. I was not expected that. Like, I was not expecting the Yoshino to basically getting away like this on a broadside like this. I was expecting an easy, devastating strike, but that didn't happen. But anyways, I did some damage to the Yoshino, and I got my guns ready again. But finally, he got in his senses, and I think he started to turn out a bit. Yeah, he did turn out a bit, and obviously, I again got 6 over penetration. And now, talking about the F button. I got 2 fires. I don't have fire prevention exactly for this F button reason. I have 2 fires running. They cannot set fire on me. I have no fire prevention. But I have this F key running, which basically means that I'm going to take less fire and flood damage. A lot less fire. Like 65% less fire damage, 65% less flood damage is pretty nice. So I'm tanking quite a lot of damage, even though, I mean, one Smolensk get another fire. By the way, 18,000 on Patri. 8 of the shells are threat protection hit is also baffling. Pretty absurd feature of this Patri. It's kind of insane that I didn't manage to get a lot of damage. But anyways, coming back to the damage control, and I used the F key. I was trying to run pretty hard here. I have only 40,000 HP left, and since I have used the F button and used the heals, I'm tanking a lot of damage as well. Like, I have already 1.1 million damage. Now finally I got 38,000 on this Petri broadside. Didn't get a citadel, but I was trying to kite away. Now I popped the heal quickly, and I almost have my F button ready. So maybe if I get some salvo on maybe Montana or Patri, I know that I will be able to survive, since once I have used this F key, I can actually able to use it to my advantage. And this fire spam or HE spam that Smolensk is doing, well, the fire damage is not gonna do a whole lot. And you can see the tankiness of Patri. I basically tanked Smolensk HE spam pretty easily, even though it does have a big superstructure. But I'm gonna be pretty fine. I just tanked some decent damage, and well, there is a Montana that shot at 16.8 kilometers. This is something that you should keep in mind, that you don't try to take a lot of damage. Like, if you are not angle, you should be pretty good enough in this case. And as you can see here, I did like 20,000 damage on the Montana, while if I slightly get angle in Maine, I didn't take basically any damage in return, which is really nice. And I got my F key ready, so I was pretty much relieved that even if the Smolensk come and started to farm me again while smoking up, I'm gonna be just fine. Now in this case, Yoshino again broadside. I mean, that Yoshino is probably the most luckiest guy ever that I've seen. getting over penetrations like he has having a cheat code, a literal cheat code. And now he finally getting some torpedo protection hit. Seems pretty fun and balanced. Oh my god. But anyways, he survived, and Smolensk started to spam HE again. And the good thing is that I have another heal ready, and this F button is gonna give me a lot much value again. Up the heal, I was not using the F button, even though that Patri did 13k damage to my superstructure, which is understandable. I did again 21,000 damage to that Montana. So you can see that the volume of shells that Maine does have can be absolutely crazy good. And I'm doing pretty consistent damage on these battleships, even if they are trying to get angled against me. So you can see here that the Montana is keeping himself angled, and the Cyclone does kicked in, and unfortunately there is a Gdansk that I am sure will try to farm me out there. And since I cannot basically, or I'm not really wanted to basically get my guns against him at the moment, I'm just shooting the Montana here, and angled Montana once again, and again did 12k damage, even though I get 7 on over penetrations. But again, the amount of shells that you have, 1.7 Sigma is not that terrible, to be honest. I find Maine guns to be still pretty good, but the survivability increase that Maine does have over Montana definitely feels good. And as you can see that I basically tanked 2.7 million potential damage by now. So you can see that how strong Maine gets over time. And in this case, well, Gdansk started to farm me here, and I shoot the guns, and well, I basically get 7 shell hits out of 8. Yeah, that's right. So you can see that you can pump out a lot of damage over on this Gdansk at even 11 kilometer. Like, my back guns did manage to do pretty good. I'm kind of forced to damage control since I basically barely surviving right now. But again, that potential damage is keep ticking. And I think in this case, I might miss the Gdansk, I think here. And maybe the dispersion might not be really that good. Yeah, I just missed the Gdansk completely. Otherwise, at least I would have gotten 2-3 shell hits for sure. But those Montana and Patri were really, you know, trying to kill me out there. And I barely survived with 3.3 million potential damage tanked. Which is pretty impressive, to be honest. It's not that bad at all. And I'm using quite a lot of heals, which does help a lot. Well, this is a Cyclone game again. I don't know why I get consecutive Cyclone games in Maine, but this will absolutely going to show how strong Maine, even then, because of these really good firing angles, and you already have seen how strong the F key really is. This is literally a key that can actually give you absolute survivability against those cruisers that are particularly going to farm you with a lot of fire damage. And Maine will do pretty well against them and will tank quite a lot longer. Now in this case, well, in Cyclone 8 kilometer, Montana pops set like up at basically 8 kilometers again, and I got a good chance to basically kill him in this pretty decent salvo. And as you can see here again, I used the front guns, 7 shell hits. So it is still do pretty well. I'm pretty impressed with the dispersion. It can be sometimes wonky, but again, most of the time, it does the job, and I really love the survivability buff that it has over Montana. Quite a significant one because of the F key, and I really love this. Now I'm shooting this Patri and basically Cyclone, and as you can still see, I might be able to manage some couple of shell hits on this Patri, which was actually shooting me before, and well, I got 1 over penetration and penetration. So you can see that you can sometimes even manage to do exactly that. Okay, so this clip actually going to showcase you that how can you actually able to make your Maine work. This is a very good suggestion that I will give you guys, that if you want to play Maine very nicely and mostly in a best way possible, well, this is what you can actually do. I'm doing here basically one simple strategy that can actually give you a lot of value if you want to basically get the best out of Maine. So what I usually do in this map, and this map is basically sort of open water. I mean, you do have some islands here and there, but mostly you can actually shoot to the right and you can also shoot to the left. So you will able to see a lot of broadside onto the right and left side, So what you can actually do here is to use your concealment to your best possibility. In this case, I have Maine with concealment build, which is 14.3 kilometers, and you basically start to get reverse in this ship. And you will eventually going to get some nasty crossfire hits on any cruiser or battleship that is trying to basically pushing towards the sea or the A flank. And you will basically do that thing and you will get pretty decent results, because in this case, usually battleships or cruisers will try to get towards one flank on the other, and this will actually going to give you those devastating salvos that you want to basically pump on any battleship or cruiser while staying angled. And if something messes up in terms of you getting focused, well, you can actually start to accelerate back and you will survive most of the time pretty much nicely out there. I mean, on top of that, you already have this F key, which basically means that you will take less fires and flood damage. In this case, it's 65% less fires, which is pretty powerful, to be honest. I have showcased you the last game, and this game is also going to showcase you that your survivability with F key combined with the fact that you can also have this heal with 115,000 HP means that you will generally have a lot much more survivability compared to any other battleship. Now, this is the tactic that you should absolutely try to do. I'm just gonna keep reversing here, and you know, guess what? The Petro is actually trying to shoot the ships on the A, while on the other hand, I'm getting some crossfire on this Petro. Now, I was trying to get a decent aim on him, and I was trying to get some salvo, but again, you have seen this, that my aim was pretty terrible, to be honest, and this Petro Pavlos would have gotten Citadel many times here. But the aim was pretty bad here, and I didn't manage to get a good strike on this Petro. Otherwise, he would have been caught pretty much off guard right now. So it is pretty good. So you keep reversing, and you will try to flank these ships that are basically trying to maybe doing the same tactic like me, but in this case, I'm catching them pretty much off guard. Now, actually, I didn't able to showcase the salvo that I did on like here on this Petro. He tried to kite away, and even angled, I able to actually do like 17,000 damage. And as you can see here, I got double fires from the Goliath since I do not have fire prevention, and even the Slava tried to basically do some damage. But again, Maine does have pretty decent or relatively more armor than Montana, and you are having a lot much less chance of getting Citadel. Although I think you should be very careful when you are playing Maine like that, because, well, I mean, if you show broadside to Slava, which has pretty insane penetration in this entire game, you are definitely going to get pretty much screwed, and you should not really do that. And by the way, look at the dispersion that I was talking. It is really good, but my aim absolutely sucks. I didn't able to realize that where he is behind the island. And again, just like similarly what I did to Petro, I basically missed my aim with the Goliath. These are the things that basically cost you a lot of high damaging salvo that you want in a particular battleship like Maine. I mean, Maine does have slower Sherlocks like Montana, but again, I mean, if you use these guns properly, and since my position right now is very good, as you can see, I'm basically saying this again and again, that you will eventually going to get massive crossfires. And even though our team is also pretty much stable at the moment, the game will definitely gonna lean towards their favor, which I was pretty much not happy about. And again, for some reason, I'm not I'm not getting Citadel hits on this Clausewitz. I did shot him a couple of times, but it's unfortunately that I did not getting a lot of damage. But still, regardless, I still getting at least 10,000 damage plus, which in my book is still pretty good. It's not that bad. I mean, you don't expect a battleship with 1.7 Sigma and a lot of shells to be just devastating absolutely every crap out of those cruisers if they are angled. And in this case, he was pretty relatively angled. It was my poor aim in general that basically misses the salvos on Petro and Goliath, and this is something that you should keep in mind. Now, this is the benefit of basically positioning yourself in the middle. As you can see here, I basically turning my guns now towards the right side of my ship. In this case, in this Maine, you can see here, I have got my turrets towards the right side, and now I can still have a lot of broadsides right now, since there is Maine, Satsuma, even Goliath, and a couple of other ships like Slava around this position. Now here, Maine actually trying to do the similar gamer turn, and I will basically able to shoot the guns. And look at the dispersion again, and well, it is pretty okay. I mean, I won't say like it is really accurate, But again, you are having 16 shells, and if you aim it correctly, in this case, I did like 24,000 damage, 7 penetration hits. I was pretty happy with this, that I'm getting some good damage. And even though our team is basically completely ripping themselves off by just dying one by one, I'm still tanking out there pretty okay damage. I mean, I'm reversing just enough now that I'm actually gone, almost touching this B cap, while they have a whole team out there that will definitely going to farm me. And again, you will be able to see the sheer strength of this Maine and its ability to tank a lot of fire damage and basically tank in general. And this is something that I really love about the Maine itself. Now I got 2 fires again. I pop the F button and now I'm taking pretty low fire damage. Like, look at that, I'm just getting a single fire worth of damage. And because of not having fire prevention, I'm kind of managing to basically use the skills, captain skills, for other stuff right now, which really helps a lot. I will show you the captain skills and you actually able to find out that why it is really good. I mean, they cannot able to set the fire, and I'm not TCPing that because, well, if I get a third fire, which most likely can happen anytime, well, I will DCP the fire maybe, but well, as you can see, it's basically only 8 seconds remaining. I didn't tank much damage of fires in return. I'm pretty okay right now. And I started to run away because I know that they all started to focus me. And look at the Clausewitz right now. Now Clausewitz actually able to get a fire on the bow. And since I know that I'm getting farmed quite a bit, and well, 14.3 kilometer concealment also does help a lot. You can see that I'm kind of concealed right now. And I want to kill this Clausewitz here, and I shot the guns. I thought that I hopefully will be able to survive, and in this case, Clausewitz taken only 4 penetration hits, and I got finally a kill on this Clausewitz. I was trying to kill him for a long time, but again, unfortunately, I got a fire on the stern, and I only have, what, 13,000 HP left, and they started to focus me pretty hard. But again, if you have a concealment build, like I am doing right now, well, you will survive without any issues whatsoever. They will have a couple of salvos here, but I started to pop my heal, and I basically able to tank and survive even in this intense strikes by the enemy team. Like, I was getting striked by every single thing here and there, but the Maine definitely delivers up to its expected results. I was expecting myself to survive, and actually that happens, and I was pretty happy with these results. Now, in this case, the game is kind of seems to be looking not that good. I mean, they have a lot of points, even though we have got some kills, but our team will definitely not going to, win this one, unfortunately. But I will wait for a bit to heal back some of my HP to basically start to fight against enemy team again. So after I get my heal back to almost 20 seconds remaining before the next heal, I decided to shoot on this Maine, and well, I was sort of broadside to Maine. I know that if I basically turn out on time, I will be fine and they won't be able to kill me, even though there is also a lava. And Maine actually, turning in to basically, mitigate some of the damage. I'm gonna be okay and fine since the heal will eventually get me up to 50,000 HP. Well, can heal back quite a bit, to be honest, and that's the thing. And I was pretty much angled, kiting away, and I got disengaged, and I'm pretty okay right now. And in this case, well, the Petropavlovsk, well, he will push. And to be honest, I want to kill this Petropavlovsk, but he's not kind of broadside, and you know that how notoriously strong Petro really is once it's angled. I mean, it's pretty tanky in terms of its cruiser armor. You all know that, how good that ship is. And so I decided to basically shoot on the Slava superstructure, and you can see that I did like almost, what, 13,000 damage if I'm not wrong, which I'm pretty okay. And I have almost my FG ready again. Maine shooting the guns, but well, they all missed me for some good reasons because I'm angled and I was sort of speed juking at the moment, and that's the reason why I'm pretty okay. Now, as you can see here, I have this Goliath angled, and these 406mm guns cannot actually overmatch, but I shoot exactly where I wanted, just hitting on the superstructure. And well, you can see the dispersion out there is absolutely insane. Look at that dispersion. Oh my goodness. I got 9 over penetrations though. Oh my god. I got 11 shell hits, or at least 12 shell hits actually. I got one of the shell that does bounce, but you can see that 9 penetration, 9 over penetration and 2 penetration still does pretty decent damage. But obviously it was a bit of a letdown. I mean, if I would be in a battleship with 407mm guns, I would have killed him at the end. Well, to be honest, the game seems to be pretty much over, and well, this Petropavlovsk is kinda in a basically sort of a broadside, and we only left with the 2 battleships. One is me and another Satsuma, and they are finally reaching up closer to me while I sort of beast the island, because well, there's nothing that I can do here. But for now, I just pop my F key again and try to mitigate this fire that Goliath actually have set on me, which is obviously gonna be a thing out there. But well, I can tank some damage for a bit more long time, and I already tanked 3 million damage. Maine is very consistent in tanking 3 million damage. This is something which I absolutely loves to see. Like, it is, I mean, that basically shows the survivability insanity is pretty much real. But again, the game is pretty much over. We lost the whole team, and including me, and the Satsuma is only left. Well, it was unfortunately a defeat, but well, the game over, and honestly, I was really happy when I played this ship. I really liked this battleship, to be honest, and I will basically going to give you my conclusion after I basically showcase you my captain build and upgrade, because obviously this is a review that I'm basically making on Maine, and I think it is pretty strong battleship if you are looking to buy that for 48 million credits. That is pretty absurd, but well, this is the unfortunate credits that you have to spend on this ship, but I think it's pretty worth it, to be honest. But let me show you this captain skill real quick. So this is my specialized captain skill. I find this pretty good, but I mean, you can also use a lot other captain skills, but this is what I would recommend you to use on Maine. Now, I do have told you guys that it does have really good anti-defense. I mean, I'm kind of buffed it with basically increasing its AA mount survivability, as well as also using AA defense and ASW expert, which does also help with ships consumable preparation and reload time by -40% during the planes coming towards you to target. So that is pretty nice. So this AA buff is pretty good. On top of that, you can also use emergency repair specialist, which reduces the damage control party consumable by 3% minus, as well as repair party. And then, as I said before, you can use super heavy AP shells, and you can actually get this up to 14,500 alpha damage, which basically makes Maine really strong. The thing is that you can basically take out this fire prevention. In this case, I exactly did that, because if you get 2 fires, for example, you can actually use the F button, and this basically going to literally become a single fire, even though you have 2 fires on a particular superstructure on the Maine, but you're going to be pretty fine. You do have 6 heals in total if you can able to tank 2 million potential damage, which is absolutely 100% possible on Maine. I almost did it like 100% of the time if the game goes longer than 10 minutes. I have did this very consistently. Maine tank a lot of potential damage. I did almost 3 million most of the time, so it is definitely possible. Adrenaline rush, then extra heal and concealment. I would say concealment is pretty good, but if I can show you other captain skills, they will work as well. If you have Halsey, and let me show you here real quick that Halsey, you can use Halsey as well on this Maine. Now, I'm using Halsey on Ohio, Massachusetts, Georgia, so they have secondary battery focus sort of, so that's why I have long range secondary battery shells. So I mean, you are trading off some of the things, like for example, you are not using this super heavy AP shells, but I mean, it's totally up to you. This is my Ohio captain, and that's the reason why I have to basically use this on Maine as well. I don't want to reset it, to be honest, because well, they cost a lot of elite commander XP. Then, I mean, I do have gunfeeder as well as grease the gears improved, and in this case, it's almost the same, except I'm not using this and this. Instead, I'm using gunfeeder as well as grease the gears. It works pretty well. Or you can also use this captain, for example. Let me show you here real quick. So you can use a simple survivability captain build like this. You can use this fire prevention, concealment, and basically a tank build, and it will still gonna do wonders, and you will have really good time in Maine. So this is the captain skill, let me talk about the upgrades real quick. So the star of the show for the Maine, even though it does have 1.7 sigma, is that you can use Maine battery shell dispersion by minus 11% puff, and that helps a lot in its dispersion and its consistency, and it does retain that over Montana. Concealment expert, obviously you can also, maybe don't use damage control system, you can also swap it to basically propulsion mod 1, or you can also use, in this case I'm using main battery mod 2 in the third slot. You can also use artillery plotting room mod 1, as well as damage control mod 1, as well as improving my AA, since my build is basically based or sort of focused around AA build, and it helped a lot. Trust me, its anti-air defense with the F key does shine a lot, so it's pretty good overall. So what would be my conclusion about the Maine? I would say it is really fun to play Battleship. I enjoyed it a lot. It's a really good platform. If you are looking to use these 16 406mm guns, they do deliver, even though they do have the similar Montana guns. They don't have any gimmick with its guns whatsoever. It does have extra turret, which is pretty nice. The survivability, which you can get from the F key. It's also really nice. By the way, this is a bit of a lag. Just bear with me at the moment. But overall, if you are looking to buy this battleship, it is definitely very enjoyable. You will definitely going to love it. Its firing angles are really good. The firing range is pretty good, even without this artillery plotting room mod 1. You can increase it to like up to 27 kilometers. That's totally up to you, but I'm pretty comfortable with 24 kilometers. There's no problem whatsoever. You do have 5 wheels, and obviously you can mount these signals to basically tank it even more against fire damage, or increase its speed as well. Because its speed, its concealment is 14.3, its maneuverability is 32 knots. I mean, if you don't use the speed flag, it is basically slightly better than Montana, like 30.4 knots, which kind of is baffling to be honest. Like, why it has 0.4 knot speed higher than Montana? I guess they want to basically make it sort of better than Montana in that case. But as you can see here, it does have gigantic turning circle. Oh, sorry, turning circle, as well as it does also have 20 seconds of rudder shift time, which is again baffling better than Montana. I don't know why. I mean, it should be sort of worse than Montana, but in this case, they did not do that. But anyways, guys, you can actually able to see that it is certainly definitely a worthy upgrade over Montana. I too loved it. I mean, it does not have that funky F key, which basically depth strike everything if someone broadsides. Pinpoint accuracy does not exist in the case of Maine, but I still absolutely loved and enjoyed it. So definitely, if you love and watch this content, give me a subscription and definitely comment me down below which ships are you looking forward in the future, as well as maybe something else you want to know. So thank you guys for watching. I hope you liked this whole review of Maine, and definitely buy it if possible, and I will catch you into the next one. Peace out.